Hey guys, welcome to our first video recorded episode of Healing from the Mess with me, Lizzie. I just want to say, welcome. So today I decided we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about 2006. So let's start at the beginning. January of 2006, I was told that my grandfather was going to have one of his legs amputated from the knee down. He was a very proud man. Didn't like asking for help at all. So that was hard for him to do. He was going to be in a wheelchair, and it was difficult for him. Shortly after that, I got my first ever, and I think my only car accident. Knock on wood. I was leaving a friend's house at 2:00 in the morning. I stopped at a red light, and the flatbed truck behind me did not stop at the red light and sideswiped. He damaged my passenger rear door, took out my mirror, passenger side mirror, and destroyed my passenger side door in my little four-door Cavalier. I remember calling my dad, and I was like, I'm fine, but you need to know I was in a car accident. We got the car fixed. I was in college. I was in a English class. I don't remember what it was called now. We had to write an analytical paper about something. And I got it done the day it was due. Got my first ever A on a paper, which was ironic and weird for me because I wasn't in a good place. Because 2 days prior, I learned that one of my best friends, committed suicide. And the day after my paper was turned in, one of my friends on the internet committed suicide. She was 15. Maybe 13, between 13 and 15. Her name was Molly. It was really sad. She had locked herself in her bathroom. And slit her wrists. And her mom tried to get to her. Didn't get to her in time. As a parent now, I think about her mother a lot. And I pray for her every day. I can't imagine the torture that she's probably put herself through since that day. It's been 18 years. I don't think it ever gets easier. A week later, my brother got in a fatal car accident. It was February 7th. Today is the anniversary, 18 years ago today. He was driving too fast on a dirt road that was icy and ended up wrapping the car around a tree. He was able to take the phone out of his pocket and dial 911. 2 cars had passed him and didn't even bother. I was at my best friend's house when my dad called and said, hey, you need to get to the hospital now. And I said, why? What's wrong? He goes, brother was in a car accident. You need to get to the hospital. My best friend got in the car with me, rode with me to the hospital. I don't know how I got there. I was a wreck. I kept trying to call my mom to tell her, hey, you need to get to the hospital. I knew she was at work. I'm calling the work. And apparently I wasn't letting it ring long enough. I was panicking. And you know how you're used to voicemails or like answer machines? I didn't have an answer machine. I could let the thing ring all night. When it mattered, she'll get to it eventually. We got to the hospital. And my dad and I were able to see him before they took him back into surgery. He almost lost his legs. He didn't. They put metal rod. I don't remember, was it one or both, with screws. I don't go in detail because that shit makes me cringe horribly bad. I don't watch medical shows for a reason. I love crime shows. Give me CSI. I love it. But you're going to do surgery on somebody and show me their insides, I'm going to lose it. It was scary. My mom, if I go home, my mom told her to go. I'll tell her when she gets there. It was scary. It was really, really scary. He was in the hospital for a while, and then he was in a wheelchair for a while. It was scary. The fact we didn't lose him is a miracle. How he survived. You look at the car. I still have pictures from that car accident. And you look at that car. It's a miracle. I don't remember much about that February. I wish I did, but I don't remember a lot. It was really more about his doctor appointments, visiting him in the hospital. I don't think my grandpa had his leg amputated yet, because I think he was scheduled and was told he had to have it done, because when my brother got into his car accident, my grandpa had walked up, to the elevator and walked up to the room, so he hadn't had the surgery yet. I remember my mom went to greet him, to meet him, and I was in the room when they were putting, they have those walking boots, right? They were putting one of those boots on my brother's leg, and the leg they put it on was the one that was really really damaged. And I remember the scream he made, and I hate hearing people in pain. I started crying. My grandpa walked in, and I just attacked him with a hug. And Grandpa wasn't a very affectionate person. So he was a bit thrown off by my hug. I really wanted to self-harm. I felt responsible. Had I just drove him to the mall when he asked me to, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I blamed myself for a very long time. And it sucked. I don't remember a lot from the rest of that month. I do know that my boyfriend at the time and I had a giant fight the day before. It couldn't even have been that day. Honestly, I think it was the day before. Because he said he was from joining the army. I got really mad and upset about it, and said some really mean things, and we weren't going to talk to each other for a while because we were just angry. And I remember calling him, and his mom was like, "Oh, he's not here." And I said, "Have him call me." And he called me the next morning, and I told him what happened, and that kind of changed our relationship. Like, we started talking, and obviously, like, I apologized for things I said, but I don't remember much about February, if we're being honest, or March. Those months really blurred together. I was still in school. I remember nothing from my Spanish class. I was in like my second semester of Spanish. I wasn't there. Mentally, I was gone. I don't even think I passed it. If I did, I squeaked by. It was rough. It was a very rough time. I wish I could tell you I remembered March and February, but I don't. Like I said, it was full of doctor's appointments and my brother coming home, and my dad and I taking turns taking care of him. It was a lot of that. Uh, I could get into more specifics, but this is my brother's story to tell, so I won't. I can tell you how upset my mom was. She was mad at my dad, and she talked to the police officer and was like, you really should go after his father because, he allowed him to drive without a license and he shouldn't be able to do that. My brother was 17 and he knew the consequences, and he was told he wasn't allowed to take the car unless my father was home. My father was not home at the time when he took the car. My dad was going to be home within an hour. He could have waited to go to the mall. He didn't. My mom was very clear on it was all my dad's fault, and she just lost her mind. I mean, she was so angry at him and didn't even once think about the consequence of my brother. Like, you're lucky no one else was in the car. The things that she would have said to me had I done that kind of thing with my brother was, of course, he's not responsible for his actions. It's obviously your father's fault. The rest of February went by, March went by. I don't remember anything. I think there was a time when we had a meeting about my aunt. They were going to release her from the mental institution she was in. And no one wanted her to be released. My grandmother and my dad, they were like, this isn't okay. My grandpa was talking about, no, she's not ready. They thought she was ready. They're like, nothing they can do. So they released her. And I don't know why I was there. I don't remember much of the meeting. I remember who was sitting where, but it was either right before his accident or right after. I'm not sure when. But that was a mess. So April 4th, 2006, I get a phone call from my dad. And I was waiting to go in and take my math test. I had a math exam, a college math exam. And my dad called and said, hey, when you get done with your test, I need you to come straight to your grandma's house. I said, okay, no problem. I looked at my friend and I said, this is about my aunt. I don't care. What am I supposed to do? I was just so tired. That year had been bombarded with stuff, right? I mean, I had 2 friends die from suicide. I had my brother's car accident. My grandpa's getting surgery. That was my phone. I apologize. So there was all these things happening. And I take the test. She gets a ride. Usually I'm her ride, but she got a ride that night. And I took off to my grandma's house. Probably about, 10 miles. And they get to the cul-de-sac, and there are cars lining the circle drive. And my brain goes, oh crap, my grandpa's dead. Because my grandpa's not doing well health-wise. I mean, he's got his leg amputated. So health-wise, he's not doing great. So I park my car. My dad sprints from my grandmother's house across the street to me, gets in my car, and tells me that my aunt committed suicide. His sister. The only aunt I ever knew. The demons in her head, the demons she battled, won. She doused herself in gasoline and lit herself on fire. Ran outside screaming. Her neighbor Neighbor went outside, saw her, and tried to grab the hose, tried to help her. Her oldest child had to identify her. I still can't imagine. It was a really bad day. I remember walking into my grandma's house, and my aunt's best friend came up to me and said, "I'm so sorry for your loss." And all I could think was, I just said earlier I didn't care. Don't feel sorry for me. I spent the rest of that year bargaining with God. I'd even make a deal with the devil if I could. I wouldn't. I knew better than to do that, but I thought, if you could take me and bring her back. I tried. I couldn't do anything. I didn't know how to be better. I didn't know how to flip for her. I just didn't want to be there anymore. And I wanted her to come back. She was glue. She held our family together. She hosted Thanksgiving, Christmas. She cooked. She was the laughter, the smile, the love. And she was gone. Last year was the first year I allowed myself to grieve her death. Marked 17 years. And I finally grieved the loss of her. I think. Might have been 2022. I don't remember. But I finally grieved 16, 17 years later. Because I held on to it, because my grandmother lost her daughter. My grandfather lost his daughter. My dad lost his sister and best friend. My cousins lost our mom. I lost an aunt. But I lost a person that I could bike to her house, hang out with her in a random afternoon. I lost a woman who tried to teach me to cook. Who treated me like an adult and a human being. Who I knew I could always go to if I needed to get away. Unfortunately, that's where I'm going to end. It's a hard one for me. We've already probably have like 15 trigger warnings I need to post on this episode. So I'm going to stop here. There are good things that happen in 06, I promise. There are. We're just not there yet. We're only into April, and this is the beginning of April. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed seeing my face. Trying to Vogue here. And I hope you'll join me next time for another episode of Healing from the Mess with me, Lizzie. Thanks, guys.